another dimension to Simchas Torah. We know Simchas Torah is a time we rejoice, we're full of simcha, we're full of simcha on Simchas Torah, we're Messiahim, the laning, the kriya of the Torah, the Parshas, and it's a time of immense joy and happiness. But there's another dimension to Simchas Torah, there's another aspect to it. In the Rishus of Chosin Bereshis, you say the following: Kvutzim poi hayayim lesimchas haTorah. We're gathered today for the simchas haTorah. V'netzarim l'sayim l'hachal begil l'moira. And we're now starting the new cycle, begil, but it says ubemoira, and also with trepidation. So what's this trepidation? What's this fear? Oisu mechavavim. And we treasure the Torah, just like the time that it was given in its glory. So what does that mean? That means that Simchas Torah, in addition to a Siyam and the Simcha for the Siyam Torah, Simchas Torah is also a day that's akin to the Nesinas Torah, Kabbalas Torah, to like Shuas, to Maimon Har Sinai. It's a time of Kabbalas Torah as well. And as Rav Yehuda Halevi says in his piyut for Simchas Torah, L'yom Simchas, and he says, Ana Amsaeka, Hashem, where am I going to find you? Where do I find you, Hashem? Darashti Kirasecha, I sought out, I was seeking your closeness. B'chol libi krasicha, and I called out to you with b'chol libi, with my whole heart. Uvitzesi likrosecha, and I went out to greet you. When I went out to greet you, likrosi mitzasicha, I found that you came to me, which is a reference, it's a reference to Maimon Har Sinai, Vayotze Moshe Asam likros elikim, as Rashi brings down the Medrash, that the Rebbeinu Shalom came to greet us, came to us. We went to him, and he came to us like a chosin going to a column. So that's what Rabbi Yehuda Levi says in his piyut to Simchas Torah, that I called out to you, I was Dirshu, b'chol libi, I went out to you, and I found that you came to me. So Simchas Torah is a day, in addition to rejoicing with the Torah, it's a day of Kabbalas Torah. How do we make it a day of Kabbalas Torah? Shavuos is a time of Nesina Torah. That's when it happened. That happened on that date, and therefore we commemorate that date, and woven into the cycle of the year, the Moadim is nikva in the Moadim, like the Ramchal says, that we experience on that day, that we recreate that day in history. So if on that day in history there was Nesinas HaTorah, there's Maimon Har Sinai, it's being recreated in the fashion every Shavuos that we celebrate. We recreate and have an experience of that day. It's woven into the day in the cycle of the months and the years, and the Moadim is part of the fabric of the cycle of the days. But Simchas Torah was not the day of Nesinas HaTorah. There is a day of Kabbalas Torah of Purim, Kimu v'Kiblu. That's also part of the fabric of Purim, and we reenact and experience a day of Kabbalas Torah on Purim. But how do we make that on Simchas Torah? How does that become part of it on Simchas Torah? And why on Simchas Torah? Why is Simchas Torah? It's specifically after Sukkot. Day Shmini Atzeres, it's after Sukkot. It's specifically on that day. We find by the Melechas and Mishkan that the Rebbeinu Shalom commands the Klal Yisrael to build the Mishkan, and the pasuk says, "Ru karasi b'shem Betzalel ben Uri ben Hur lamata Yehuda." Who should build the Mishkan? Look, I'm calling upon Betzalel. Betzalel, he should build the Mishkan. And the Ramban comments and remarks that what is this lashon of ru'u? And we have it twice mentioned, ru'u and re'eh. We should see, take note. What is it that we have to observe? What do we have to take note of? What is being indicated over here that we have to have a special, put our eye on, make a special note of, and we have to remark on this? The Ramban says, the Ramban, look at this great nace, look at this miracle, look at this great nace, that I'm taking a nation. I'm taking a nation from slaves who their experience is in working with berefesh of atit, with the mud and the mortar, building blocks and bricks, physical, manual, back-breaking labor. I'm going to take these people. Look, I'm calling Betzalel, has no experience in building a mishkan. He was never trained to build a mishkan. The training, the Klal Yisrael were slaves. They were slaves. They were slaves in Egypt and Mitzrayim. And look at this great nace, that I'm taking these people, and I'm taking Betzalel, and they're going to build this most magnificent edifice. They're going to build this mishkan, this great edifice, these people who had no training or background in it. Look at this miracle. It's a great nace. So then the question arises, well, if it's not the way we assumed, if it's not the way we thought all along, that Betzalel was chosen because he was the master craftsman, he was the greatest artisan, that's why he was chosen. But if this is an ace, and he really didn't have that background, so then on what basis was Betzalel chosen? Why Betzalel more than anybody else? So perhaps the answer lies in the words of the pasuk, "Ubelev kol chacham lev nasati chachma." I will place chachma. The Rebbeinu Shalom says, "I will give chachma. I will give you chachma." To whom? To whom will I give chachma? Ubelev kol chacham lev nasati chachma. I will place chachma in the heart of the chacham. So what does that mean? If the person is already a chacham, why does the Rebbeinu Shalom have to give him chachma if he's already a chacham? But perhaps the pshat is that there's a difference between a chacham and a chacham leiv. The pasuk in Mishlei says, "Chacham leiv yikach mitzvos, ve'avil sasayim yelavet." The chacham leiv, he grabs the mitzvos, he chaps the mitzvos. The avil sasayim, the avil yelavet. The fool, he will be weary. The fool, the sasayim, the elevated will be just worn out and weary. He'll be worn out. There's no enthusiasm in the fool. There's no enthusiasm. There's no desire. There's no excitement. There's no passion. That's the fool. The chacham leiv. What is a chacham leiv? He's a person, as the Goyen and the Malbim speak of. The chacham leiv is a person that has a desire for avodas Hashem. He has a desire for that's what he wants. He's a chacham leiv. His heart is wise. Why does it mean his heart, not his mind? His heart. What does it mean, a wise heart? That's what his desire. He has the correct desires. His heart desires the wise things, the proper things, the good things. That's a chacham leiv. His heart desires what's good for him. The most precious things. The most precious things in the world is what his heart desires. That's the chacham leiv. The fool, he's just be worn out with his narishkeit. So that's the Yisayid HaDvarim. Ubelev chacham leiv nasati chachma. The Rebbeinu Shalom says, to whom will I give this chachma? To whom will I give this chachma, this nace, to build a mishkan, without training, without background? Slaves. To whom will I entrust the carrying out of this nace, as the Ramban says that it was a nace? To the chacham leiv, to the one who has the proper desires. He desires what the proper things and the good things. To the one that has yiras Hashem. Reishis chachma yiras Hashem. The reishis chachma is yiras Hashem. And the Rebbeinu Shalom gives chachma to the person that has yiras Hashem, like the pasuk in Daniel says. The pasuk says that Yahav Chachma Salachachimin. The pasuk in Daniel says Yahav Chachma Salachachimin. To the Chacham. What Chacham? To the Chacham leiv. To the one that has Chachma in his heart. And he has that desire. He will be given the Chachma. On Simchas Torah, on Simchas Torah, after we had the Torah of Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, we've been cleansed and elevated. We had the Simcha of Sukkot. Now our hearts have been purified. We're capable of desiring the proper things, the good things, and to have a overwhelming desire for Yiras Hashem, for the Torah. And at the time, it's a time of Simcha. It's a time of Simcha. That's the aside of Kabbalas HaTorah. To have Simcha with Yiras Hashem. Like it says in the Rishus, that we are now gathered, Ne'etzarim l'sayim al-hachal begil uve'mamayra. With gil, rejoicing and trepidation, just like in Har Sinai. Now, after hearts have been purified, after the Yom Noraim, the Simcha of Sukkot, Man Simchaseinu, we have the Chacham, the ability to be a Chacham Leiv. We have the ability to be B'Simcha. But to have the Yiras Hashem, the side is Yiras Hashem B'Simcha, and that's the approach to our Avodah on Simchas Torah. Gilu Bira'ada. Gilu Bira'ada. We rejoice with the Simchas Torah, but not frivolous rejoicing, not hefkeres, not hoilulus, but Gilu Bira'ada with trepidation. Trepidation, the Teres Hashem. Reenacting to a degree Maimed Har Sinai. And that's what is embedded in what Rav Yehuda Halevi was saying. Darashti kivasecha, I sought out, I was seeking your closeness. B'chol libi krosicha, I called out to you with b'chol libi, with my whole heart. With my whole heart, desire, my passion, I called out to you. Uvetseisi likrosecha, and then when I went to greet you, likrosig mitzasich, I found that you came to me already. When we come to Hashem, with Yiras Hashem, with a Chacham Leiv, with the proper desires, then Hashem comes to us, and He gives us Chachma. They say about the Chazon Ish, when he was young, and he was learning when he was a bocher. So he used to concentrate for hours and delve into the depth of the sugya. Sometimes he could not come to the clear understanding. Sometimes there were times when he put his whole effort in and he could not come to the clear understanding of the Amkos HaSugya. So it said about the Chazon Ish that when he reached that kind of a level, when he was at that stage, what he would do is he would go to a corner, go to its side, go to the corner, and daven to Hashem and cry out to Hashem and cry out and beg Hashem to please give him the chokhmah, give him the understanding, and pouring out with tears. Then he would come back to the Gemara and it would be all clear. It would be all clarified. Chacham Leiv. Nasati Chachma. When we have the Yiras Hashem, the Chacham Leiv and desire, the Hashem gives us the Chachma when we are rejoicing with the Torah mitoich Yiras Hashem, mitoich from a desire to come close to Hashem, then we're given, the Torah is given to us as well. Hashem comes to us, we come to Him, and we find that likros mitzvah